Gary Nasai Minasan. Today we're gonna talk about Kamen Rider Geats episode 21 before watching Kamen Rider Geats episode 21. So we already saw the preview trailer in the last episode, but now we are gonna go through it scene by scene to break down what we actually learned from episode 21. So the first thing that we saw is SPARROW making a return, and this is really interesting because when SPARROW returned, she is in the Jyamato war alongside with Buffa, and I would assume Baroba would also be there as well. So does that mean that the sponsors of SPARROW is actually Baroba? Because this is really interesting. The way SPARROW taught, the last sentence that SPARROW actually gave the rest of the participants before he got retired from the game itself is that you guys are gonna regret for eliminating me from the game itself. So like, what does this mean? Like, why does he say something like that? If he is not indeed the disaster, then why would he say something like that? And if he is the disaster, then it will also kind of like to sow doubt on other people, to kind of like force other people to think like, hey, maybe I am not the disaster, something like that. And I felt like we need to think as a game master. If you want your game to be really interesting, you wouldn't let your participants know that they have already successfully get rid of the imposter, they have successfully get rid of the disaster. You would tell the audience, you would tell the player that, hey, you guys, SPARROW is not the disaster. Keep on playing the game, keep on doubting your other teammates, and that is how the game master would want the player to think, to doubt one another. That is the way he wants the game to be played. So whether or not SPARROW is indeed a disaster, we still have to wait and see. We still have to wait until the finishing of this arc to actually find out who actually is indeed the disaster. My biggest suspect right now is still on Neon Kurama. I know in episode 20 the ending actually showed us Sai holding the card of the disaster, but that doesn't mean that that card belongs to Sai. We need to think that she could actually found that card in one of the person's belonging. And one thing that we know for sure is the game master in episode 20 actually enters the tent of SPARROW, and he was kind of like fiddling and stuff, like trying to find something like that. So we are not sure what the game master is doing in the tent of SPARROW, but my biggest suspicion right now is that SPARROW is indeed the disaster, but Sai actually managed to find the card from the belongings of SPARROW. Or maybe she found the disaster card from Neon Kurama's belongings, something like that. Because based on how episode 20 was actually being shown to us, like when the bomb, the apple bomb was dropped under the feet of both Kewa and S, we immediately got cut to the perspective of Sai running around and kind of like stopping to see something. So this could actually mean that she is the one that threw the bomb, or this could actually mean that she saw Neon throwing the bomb towards both Kewa and S itself. So this is really interesting because the identity of disaster is still up in the air. We are still not sure who actually is the disaster. We just have to wait and see what episode 21 is gonna reveal to us, because the one part of the reason that makes this latest arc of the DGP, this latest arc of Kamen Rider Geats so interesting is the existence of the disaster itself. Okay, so with that being said, let me move on to the next thing that we actually get to see from the trailer itself, and that is a new rider, Kamen Rider Gazer. This is not Glare, but this rider is also using the Vision Driver. Who is the real identity of Gazer? I have a feeling that it's gonna be Niram, the game producer, but there is also a possibility that this Kamen Rider Gazer could actually be someone else. It could actually be the secretary of Niram. It could actually be some other people who is using the Vision Driver. But I have a strong feeling that it could actually be Niram, because introducing Niram here halfway through the third arc of the story as a Kamen Rider is gonna set him up to be the fourth arc villain, or the fourth arc opponent for the rider to defeat something like that. Whether or not Niram is gonna be a good guy or a bad guy, we are still waiting to see. But you know, like the DGP is not trustworthy. Even though they might not actually become the final villain of the show, there's a still possibility that the DGP is not trustworthy. It's kind of like Zidane X, something like that. Foundation X is the villain behind the scene, but the ultimate villain of that particular show, it still belongs to the monster of the series itself. Okay, so that is something just to keep in mind, because this Kamen Rider Gazer suit looks really amazing. Really love the circuit boards. This design is very different from the one we actually got from Kamen Rider Glare. Kamen Rider Glare design seems less detailed. Gazer suit looks very detailed, and we actually get to see a lot of line, a lot of circuit board looking stuff. I really love the color, the white and gold really give us a perspective that this is a high and mighty suit compared to Glare. So I'm still waiting to see whether or not, like, what is the ability of Gazer. Like, does Gazer actually have the ability to control other rider as well, or we actually are gonna see him do some other new stuff that we never seen before, or we never expect from the rider itself. So the next thing I want to talk about is Sae. Okay, Sae family is in danger next episode, so she is indeed gonna try her best, and she's gonna become very desperate to save her family. And that is why when we actually see her snatching away the boost fever, the fever rice buckle from Kewa, this does not mean that she is indeed the disaster, because remember in episode 20, Kewa did exactly the same thing from Sae. Like, he snatched away the zombie rice buckle from Sae to save his own sister. So we could actually see Sae doing the similar thing using the fever rice buckle to achieve the look of the what are we trying to say, the boost fever rice buckle combo, something like that. So it's gonna be really interesting, because next episode we are gonna learn a lot of things. We are gonna get a new rider, we're gonna learn the true identity of the disaster for sure, and then lastly we are also gonna see what SPARROW is actually doing together with Beroba and Buffa together. So that is all from me regarding episode 21 preview, discussion or theory. Let me know in the comment section below, what do you actually think about this episodic preview stuff, and if you have any theory at all about who is the disaster, and what the hell is SPARROW doing together with Beroba and all those stuff, let me know in the comment section below. I'm really excited to see your thoughts, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Goodbye.